live programming in F#, volume 26. And okay, so what is this? I've been recording myself going through a code kata of building a mobile application. Hold up 1 second. I hear myself talking. Crap. How do I turn this off? Okay. Turn that live off right here. Okay. I still had it's a long story. Anyways, where was I at? Doing this code kata where I'm building like a Uber or a Lyft application, right? And so basically I'm using F# and Xamarin Forms. I'm building this project in which I'm also practicing domain-driven design. And also I'm experimenting with this, what I call specification as a library. So you have like 2 domains for getting a ride. You have this ride domain and you have an account. A ride domain is, well, the operations involved with getting a ride. The account is, well, your bank card and you can view your receipts, or AKA transactions. And yeah, type-driven development and then test-driven development. So here's the specification for each domain. If you examine the ride specification, we have the ride specification library, which consists of the language that's used in the operations. And we also have, under the specification folder for a ride, get ride tests, cancel ride tests, and ride ended tests. Suite of tests for each category. And the account domain has the same model, should I say. Your account specification library consists of language and operations for an account. And where am I at? I'm missing something. The account.tests. Well, that's going to have your account test suite, your receipts test suite. That's what I've been doing for a while, right? I've been recording videos of me doing this, building up that muscle memory, and practicing F# and domain modeling. And now I'm at the point where I'm going to do just enough user interface, right, or UI, and that should flesh out some inconsistencies or some edge cases within my logic so far for each domain. So when I say the UI, I added a ride.ui library and an account.ui library. Okay. I have within my app foundation, my app.xaml.cs is going to point to, that's interesting. I originally had it pointing to, that's interesting. It was supposed to be pointing to my account.ui, specifically bank cards, but that's no longer the case. All right, so there's some updates that I need to make. For example, this bank cards right now, I'm just going to say welcome to bank cards. Okay. Control-Shift-B. And this, how's this going to work? This app.foundation directory for the app project, I need to, come here. For the app project, I need to first make sure that let's cancel this build for right now. Naturally, when I start recording, my phone wants to ring. And it's a Las Vegas number. Who knows? All right, so let me first make sure that my Xamarin Forms project is referencing my ride UI and my account UI. Okay. It's probably going to also need a reference to the view models and probably core and probably ride specification and account specification. Okay. Hit OK. And like this main page isn't needed. Delete that. Now I have red squigglies. Now I got to make sure that my Xamarin Forms versions for all the projects are matching. See, I did all this in the last video, but apparently I lost the updates. So all of this needs to line up, or I could just go to this app project specifically, go to manage, and here do update, accept, and all that should be fine. Okay. Now the squigglies go away, and what I wanted to do is I wanted to, in my app.cs, I wanted to reference, I think it was called bank cards. I think bank card is one word. So bank cards like this, and I should be able to import that. Okay. Get rid of that. And should just be able to run this. This will probably take a while to actually launch the actual application as it spins up the emulator. And while that's going, what I want to do is I want to go into my bankcards.xaml, and in my bankcards.xaml, I want to, this is a stack layout right now, but I want to, how's this going to work? I'm probably going to have a grid, right? So I have a grid. What's that grid? And that grid is going to have, I guess, 2 rows, I think. Yeah. So like we should have a grid, or what I have to say, grid dot row definitions, something like that. And I think there will be 2 row definitions. The first row is going to say, pickup, and the second row is going to have destination. Hence, there's going to be an entry label for each row, 2 rows, 2 entry labels. Let me take off this Invisalign because I have a habit of slurring lately. Okay, so we go to row definition and do that. And so now what? Well, then we can see, should it be row definition or should it be column? Well, this is for a mobile phone, so I feel like rows, right? All right, if we do rows, then here I could say entry, and this entry, what's happening? Visual Studio is freezing right now. This entry, what's over here? It looks like the application is ready now. Welcome to bank cards. Okay, good. This entry is going to, let me get rid of this, you're distracting me. this entry is going to, for right now, I'm just going to put text in here. Or maybe I could have placeholder. Maybe that's better. Placeholder. And I could call this pickup. Okay. And the placeholder color can be gray. Okay. And so, oh yeah. And that's going to be your grid dot row. What's happening? Grid dot. What am I doing wrong? Oh, entry. And then I could have here, when on IntelliSense, grid dot row equals 0. Okay. And so then I can have my next entry, and I can set that grid dot row to equal 1. Something like that. Now, I need to set the height equals, and say, perhaps auto. Okay. And if I look over here, I need something else that I'm missing. I need to add, I think, live XAML to my project. But in addition to that, I probably want to say vertical options equals what? Equals, for right now, center. And horizontal options equals center, like that. And that can probably be a style. So in my content page, I could have content page dot resources, and then in here I can have a style element in which I could say x dot key equals, and I'll say entry style. And how does this work? A style will have, I think, oh yeah, I need to set the target type equals entry. Okay. And for styles, they have, I think it's a setter, where I could set the property and the value. So I say property equals, and I could say vertical options, and then I should be able to say value equals center. And same thing over here, where I can have, for the second setter, I can have horizontal options, and the value equals center. Okay. So then over here, I could have style equals, and then say static resource, and have entry style over here. I could just copy that down here. Okay. And which means that I can get rid of this over here. And I still have duplication for the placeholder. Oh yeah, you over here, your placeholder is going to be called destination. Okay. But the colors are the same. So I can add another setter in here, say setter, and I could say property equals, and then I could say placeholder color, and I could say that the value is going to be equal to gray, like that. Okay. And so that means I can get rid of this over here, and for the, yeah, this should be okay for right now. Now what? Well, I need to actually compile this, but there's also something else that I need to do. I need to set, how am I supposed to do this? I think for app.dependencies, I need to browse. My dog is getting on my nerves because she keeps walking around making noise. I need to, it's live XAML, and this live XAML I can install. Okay. And I'm not sure if I need to install that for everything. I don't remember having to do this for everything, but I think it's just for the application for the Xamarin Forms project. I think I'll find out later. Now, if I run this again, hopefully I should see 2 entry boxes with placeholders saying pickup and destination. And they should be in the center of the page. I feel like there's something else that I'm missing. I didn't specify the width of those boxes. That's something else that I probably need to do. So in my setter over here, while that's loading, I can also have a placeholder and then have width request, and I can set that to maybe I don't know, 150 or something, and do that. Now my solution is still building. I shouldn't have to do height. Height is set to auto. And my binding context, that can't be set in the XAML. I'm sure there's ways to do it, but the binding context is going to be configured in my app logic library. The app logic library is going to contain the logic for, or is going to contain the navigation logic, as well as the assembling of a page, meaning that it's going to not only navigate to that page, but also establish a binding context with that page. And I get some type of error, system.load type. So that more than likely has something to do with invalid Zamel in this file. Let me run this again. And it still says does not exist and whatever. Okay. I'll try to let this run anyway and see if I still get a runtime exception. And let's see what happens. I still get a runtime exception. Okay. So now what? Well, it's probably something to do with my XAML in here. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to comment out this right here. And then I'm going to try to rerun it. And this error keeps popping up. And it says well, yeah, that's referencing the app.xaml.cs file. So as I attempt to run this, let's see if I still get the same error, runtime exception, should I say. And I don't see anything. So it makes me believe that the issue is within my XAML. Okay, because there's no errors yet. Okay. So let's say that I just had let's say I uncomment this out. Actually, no, comment this out, and let's just to put a button in here. So button, and then you have text equals ABC. Okay, save that, and ABC shows up. Okay, so the error is that I have some type of syntax error in my control KU will uncomment the code. And so for entry grid.row 0, grid.row 1, let's just comment out one of them. And let's try to do that. Are we going to, well, that's pickup. So that's good. Okay. So there must be an issue with the second one, but I don't understand what the issue would be. Let me save that. Destination. Okay. So now everything works, which is weird. Now, what would be nice if I could center align the pickup and destination. And I don't think, let me see, I think there's a text, there's a line somewhere, horizontal text alignment, which can be center. And I should probably, I don't think that has anything to do with the placeholder text though, but I can add as another style or as another property of that style, I think it was called horizontal text alignment, and that was called center. Okay, Shift Alt up arrow key like that. Do something like that over here, which means that I can now delete this right here. Okay, and that center actually updates the position of the placeholder text. And that 150 seems kind of short, so let's do 250. And that makes it wider. And well, let's just, hell's bells, let's just go 300, okay? All right, cool. Now what? We probably need to add a button called request ride. So maybe there's yet another row definition right here. And maybe we have a button in here in which the text is request I don't know. Do you need to say request write in here? I think request should be enough. And that button, well, maybe I should have a color, background color equal to maybe navy blue, maybe. And maybe I should have that width request equal to 100. And maybe I should have the height request equal to 60 maybe. And maybe I want the font size to be maybe large, maybe. And that button is going to be a grid.row is now 2, okay? And I think I want all this stuff to line up for the most part. And let me just save that for right now. And so you have this request right here. Okay. So I thought I said the width request was 100, but it kind of ignored that and it stretched it out to this whole thing right here. Now I do want my font color, or is it called foreground? Is it called text color? To be, I want that to be white. Okay. And so I have white right there. What else? I don't know. I think I want the background to be navy, and I think I want this button to be a light blue. So I want this to be light blue, and I want the background. So let's add on this content page, let's add background color to be navy, something like that, okay? And so I get something like this right here. Okay. The entry, well, for the entry, I want that background color to be set too. So I should be able to say setter, property, and the background color, and then value is I want that to be maybe smoke white or white smoke. Okay, something like that. And there must be order. Must be order in here. Okay. La la la. So if I look at that, that doesn't look pretty at all, does it? You know what? And I also want this. I want all this stuff, if it's possible. I want the stuff to be in the center. Vertical options equals center. Can I do that? That stuff is in the center. Well, that doesn't look right. Maybe not. I'll take that back. I'll take that back. And that navy blue doesn't look too hot. So let's, I changed my mind on the navy blue. And yeah, I changed my mind on that. Okay. Now, that request, oh yeah, that white smoke, well, that might be, what if I change that white smoke to light gray, like that? What do you look like there? Yeah, all that stuff is ugly. Forget the background color right now, okay? And that request thingy, that I thought I set the width request to 100, but it seems like it's being ignored. even if I set it to 50, it's still being ignored. So it looks like for the button, there probably is a horizontal options, and that should be maybe center, maybe. If I look at that, it is center. Okay. And so then the width request, maybe I could say is 150. Okay. Okay. But that button seems really large. What if we can go to a, or should I say the text size seems really large. I don't even know where text size is now. I'm lost in here. What if we can make that font size medium? Can we do that? And the font size, oh, what was it? That's medium. Okay. Maybe the issue is the height. What if I just get rid of height request altogether? What does that look like? Okay, that looks. I think that looks a little bit better. Okay. Now what? Well, that's a light blue. Bu- 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 and that might be okay for when your pickup and destination aren't set. But when it does get set, I think it may be cool looking for that request button to go to a darker blue once the pickup and the destination fields have been validated. And that might be, well, I don't need a Visual State Manager for that. I could just use data binding, in which the background color is going to be data bound to the viewModel.isValid property. And I can use a value converter to translate that bool into a background color. That is what I'm probably going to do. Okay. Now what, Willis? Well, I guess that's okay for right now. I could play around with other parts, but like for example, I can mess around with the margin on here, and I could say that the margin for the button, it starts at left, top, right, bottom. I don't really care about the left or right margins. However, for the top, I can say that I want 15. I'll do like 0, 15, and that's going to push it down a little bit. Okay. And maybe that height is still kind of, well, I got rid of the height altogether, so that's just what it is. Okay, so this button has a whole bunch of properties on here. I want that to be more readable and organized. So maybe I'll go over here and maybe I'll say style, and I'll say X key, and I will say that what am I doing? This will be called the button style. Okay, button style, and the target type is a button. Okay, and it's going to have its own setters, in which I say property equals, and there's just going to be a whole bunch of stuff in here. Okay, so then I can say, okay, Willis, well, what exactly do you want? And I can say, well, there's a couple things. For one thing, the text color, I want that to be white, right? So I can say that the text color that value is going to be white. Okay. And then what else? Well, we should be able to get rid of, well, hold on, we call this button style, right? So let's go ahead and set the style over here, say style equals, and say static resource. is going to be this button style. Okay. We set the text color already to white. Now we can set the background color to light blue. All right. So we'll go ahead and add a new setter on here, and we'll say the property is going to be the background color, and we're going to say the value is what? Is light blue. Okay, something like that. There must be order to satisfy my OCD. Okay, so now what, Willis? Well, so we set the background color over here to light blue in our style. Maybe we want to do a margin 2. Okay, we can do a margin 2. So let's add a margin 2. So over here we say property equals margin. And what do we want for the margin? Well, we want that to be 0, 15. That 0.15 means that for the left and for the right margin is going to be 0, and for the top and bottom the margin is going to be 15. Now what? Well, that's okay for right now. And what else do we want to do, Willis? Well, I'll tell you. So we got rid of margin. The width request I have set at 150. So let's add a width request to our style. All right, put all that stuff up here. Okay, and so this is width request right here. And we're going to set it right here and say that is 150. Okay. Okay, so we got 150 over here. Okay, so we can go ahead and we can delete that. Yes. What else? Well, font size. Well, what about the font size? Okay, well, we need to set the font size as well in our style for the button style. So we say property font size, and we're going to say that that is equal to medium. Yes, like that. And something like that over here. Yeah, okay. And we do something like that over here. Okay. Now what, Willis? Well, horizontal options, that needs to be set to center. Okay, so we go over here and we set the horizontal options to center. So horizontal options, what's that? It's center. Sounds like Pauly Shore. And the majority of people don't know who that is. I know who that is because I was born in the 80s. Come here. Okay, so we do something like that. And yeah, Willis, that is what's up. And we could get rid of all you down here, and we have a little bit of clarity. All right. Look at my emulator, and it's still intact. Okay. Now what, Willis? Well, IDK. We have pickup and we have destination. Hold up, but this is supposed to be the bank cards page. Oh, crap. I put all that on the wrong page. Well, that's fine, because I can just copy and paste this and throw it on the ride page or whatever you want, the get ride page. Okay, so my bad. I put all this in the wrong part because I'm focused on pickup and destination. Okay, so content.resources. I want to take all this right here, and I want to throw this. You go bye-bye, because this is all, why do I have content page selected down there? La, la, la. Yeah, content page, content page. Content page dot content, that's why. And so take you to, oh crap. How about this? How about we close you and we close you, and then we take you. Okay. And then we'll Control Alt L and go to our ride and ride UI and request ride and throw that in here. That's where you belong. Right there. Okay. So that should be straight for a while. And I like having things lined up. Okay. So now what? Well, let's return back to our bank cards.xaml. and I just started zoning out, right? Our bank cards.xaml, that is going to have some bank cards in here. It'll probably have a list of bank cards, and then it'll have a button called Add New Bank Card. And you probably should be able to remove a bank card too. So I think how's this going to work? There's probably a content page dot content, and in here probably have a list view. Okay, that list view needs to have a item source in which that is going to be bound to something called bank cards. All right. Okay. And what else? Well, it'll probably have is there a selected item? Yeah, and that could be bound to bank card, something like that. I have to say binding bank card. Okay, binding bank card, something like that. Okay. And so that would be the list view. And it'll have, I could set up a data template in here, but I don't think that would be necessary. Yes, it is. Okay, so I think somehow, it's been a while, but you have like a list view dot, how does this work? Is it, no, list view dot item template, and then you have a data template like that. And then you have maybe a label, okay? And that label is going to have text, and that text is going to be bound to it's going to be bound to the card number. And again, I haven't established the data binding to the actual view model, but I mean, this is going to be kind of what it's going to look like, right? And so what else? This can probably be we'll make this a grid, okay? So we'll have a grid. That grid is going to have, I don't remember all this stuff. Grid dot, I have to say grid dot row definitions, okay? And I think there's just going to be one row definition, okay? But then there'll probably be two columns. So then I could say grid dot column definitions, and I can say grid dot column. Oh shoot, where am I at? Here I could say column definition, but there's two column definitions, right? Something like that. And with this, for a column definition, I think we can say height. How does this work? Width is auto. Okay, maybe I do that. So maybe I do something like width is auto. Okay. Row definition, I don't know. Height is auto. Okay. What else? I like having things aligned. Okay, I give up. What else? Well, so in here, we have a label in which we'll have, we'll have a couple things, right? We'll have two labels. And the first label, that's going to be card type. It's Visa, MasterCard, Discover, American Express. So that's going to be grid dot column 0. And then the other label is going to be the grid dot column 1. Okay. What else? Well, card number and type. Okay, so the width with request for the card type, maybe that's just 100. And the width request for the card number, maybe that's 200. Okay. Or maybe it's, I don't know, maybe it's 250. I don't know. Well, you don't need to show the entire card number. So 100 is fine. You just show the last 4 digits of the card number. Okay. And that can probably, I'm not sure how I want to handle that. Now, what else? I have messages on my phone. What else? Well, so I have card type, I have card number. I guess I could create a style for all this. So I can have, where I want to do the style at, it doesn't matter. I could do it up here. I could have content page dot resources, and I can have a style like this, and I could say that this is going to be a style key of what? I could say of, I don't know, I'll just call it a label style for right now. And the target type is going to be a label. Yeah. Okay. And well, what else do we need to do? Well, we need to establish the setters for the style. So we can do something like property equals, and we can say that this is going to be a width request, and that the value is going to be 100. Okay. And I think what I observed in the last, oh shoot, what just happened? What I observed in the last time that I was doing XAML in the wrong page, there is a horizontal options maybe, in which we can set that to center. Okay. But all this is in the list view. So is that really necessary? I don't think so. All this, well, yeah, it is necessary, I think. Or is it? I don't know. I'll find out. Horizontal alignment. We'll make that left, or I think it's called start. Okay. Now what else did I set in here? It was just a width request. Okay, so that could be deleted. And then we can basically set the style for this. We can say style equals, and you can say static resource, and then you can say label style like that. Okay, that's what we could do. Something like that. Okay. What else? That's it for right now. So this list view is representing a list of bank cards, right? That's what we need. Somewhere in here, we'll need outside of the list view, we'll need a button for adding a new card. So right now, the only thing on this is a list view. Okay. Now, I'm not sure what the UI is supposed to look like. Like if I do paint and I expand this some, then like imagine this is your phone right here. I guess a phone is supposed to be like this maybe. Okay. And so that's your phone. And for the bank cards view, you have a list view. That list view should only have so many cards, right? So maybe you have, this is your list view right here, maybe. And that's going to have that's going to have several entries. I don't know. Something like that. And these all represent your cards. So you can have a Visa, and then you can have a MasterCard, and you can have what else? Another MasterCard. Well, yeah, you have something like that, right? And then you can have over here, you can have, I'm not sure what the format looks like, but I think you have like something like X8, something like that, 9878. And you can probably have something similar over here where you have XX6743, and then you have something over here which is XX 9021. Okay, we can have it look like that, and maybe we can delete this stuff down here. If I attempt to delete that, oh, okay, so let me delete it right here then. Something like that. All right, so maybe for the bank cards view, you have this type of lookup, and you could then have maybe a button here, and that button would have the text like new card or something, or add card, and maybe it has that, right? And then when you press the add card button, it takes you to a different page where you put in your card type, your card number, your expiration date, your holder name that's on the card, and your security code. Okay. But in addition to that, let's say that we also want the ability to remove a card. That should be allowed too. That could be accomplished. What if we kind of did something like this? Let me try to get this stuff aligned. And we could, over here, delete that. And maybe we had some buttons here for, how would we want to do this? Maybe within the data template, we have a remove button. Well, that's not going to work in a data template, but maybe we have a remove, remove like this. I don't think that's going to, let me think this out. One way is to have a button, a remove button for each control. And this is, okay. Let me delete this right here. And let me reselect this. Okay, and you just, I don't know if this will work, right? So you have basically any of the cards you want to remove, you just tap, boom, boom, boom. But in the list view, I mean, you can do it. There's just some ceremony for that tap gesture to be recognized because your list view is already supports the tap gesture. So I'm not sure I want that. Something else that maybe could be considered is that you let's delete that, and maybe you have an add bank card, which maybe it may be a list view item, right? So let's for example say that perhaps we could have on our last entry something like this, and then you just had something like add new or add card. Okay. You could have something like that. And then you could have a button that could be for removing, like remove, something like that. When you select any of those cards, and it would be intelligent enough that when you select the add card, well, one is when you select the add card, a navigation should just take place. I still feel like that's a funky design, but I'm not a UX designer, so I mean, tough luck. But anyway, this is an approach. You could also do something like let's position this like here, and then you can have you have two buttons like here, and well, we can select this and basically create a copy of it like that. And then you can say over here, you can say new card. And then over here, you can have a remove, right? Something like that. All this stuff is ugly. I don't really care. That's what a UX designer's for. They tell me what looks pretty, and then I just build it to that spec. So if I keep playing around with this, I could move this back over here. Uh-oh, hold up. Let me start over. I could move this back over here, kind of like this. And then there's this new card over here that I can move up here. And, well, I would maybe want to shrink that. Okay. And I could probably put it like this right here. I don't know, like that. And then I could have this remove over here. Something like that. Something else is that stuff can be kind of like Windows Phone, where you have your commands docked to the bottom, but this is Android, so these are different ways that this can be done. So it looks like for right, I like this new card up here in the corner. So I'm not sure about this remove button right here. Maybe that remove button. Maybe we could trade places. And what I mean by that is maybe we can, let's remove that, and over here we can have some right here, and then have text here and say remove like that. Okay. And we'll just take that remove and we'll pinch it a little bit and then drop that up here. So now that remove is associated visually to these cards up here. And then we can take this new card and we can maybe, I don't know, put it right here. Or put it down here. Or put it in the center. It's either up top here, something like that. And I think this is okay right here. Okay. So that might be an okay design. I mean, it looks okay to me. And so I could use that as a reference point. And then there's going to be two parent columns. And so over here in this bank cards, there's actually 2 parent columns. And so for the content page, that content, I could have a grid dot, or I could have a grid and then have grid dot column definitions. Okay. And then I have a column definition. And then I have a column definition like that. And within that grid, I can have this list view. And this list view has some things that it's complaining about. Oh, yeah, okay. It shouldn't be an issue. So within the grid, I can throw this list view in here. And that list view would basically be grid.column equals 0, okay? And in addition to that list view, we can have the remove button in here. So I can have a button, okay? And the text is remove, something like that. And then you can have a command in here that is binding, and it's bound to a remove command on the view model. Okay. And that button is a grid dot column 1. Okay. So you can have something like that. I like my columns matching up. Okay. That. And then you would have 2 rows, right? So you have your column definitions, but then you also have your grid dot, where am I at? You can say grid dot row definitions like this, and you can say row definition, and then you can say row definition again like that. Okay. So then your list view is going to now, if I expand that list view, it's going to be in the first row. So you say grid dot row, and that's going to be 0, grid dot column 0. And that button for remove, that is also going to be grid dot row 0, grid dot column 1. Okay. Okay. And then you'll have another button. That button is going to be called, I don't know, text new card or something like that. That's going to be a command called add card. And that add card is supposed to do binding to a property that we'll probably call add card. Okay. And that is going to be grid.row 1, right? Referencing this right here. And that's going to be grid.column span 2. Okay. Now, in addition to that, our horizontal options is going to be excuse me, center, and we'll have a width request of I don't know, 150 maybe, something like that. Okay. And I'm sure I have some issues with my live XAML. Uh, now what else? Well, we want the height to, or we want the width to be auto for the columns. Okay. In regards to, well, the second column, yeah, I think I want that to be auto too. For the row, the height for the first row can be auto. Yeah, I guess the second row too, auto, something like that. Okay. So it looks something like that. Let me that in. And yeah, so far, I mean, I think the way that this is structured should come close to this right here. I guess I could save this and call that what would I call this? Bank cards .png. Let's say that's my desktop for right now. And so I added some XAML to my bank cards file, and I also added some XAML to my ride request file. And I think that's enough for right now. That did, for the bank cards, that identified, hold up, there's some other things I want to do here. Push that over and push that over and do that over here and have that over there. Okay. And anything else? No, not really. There's the, I can add a style for this new bank card, right? I could do that. And I guess I could do that right now. So that's label. Have a style right here. And I can have x.key, and that's going to be a new card style, new card button style, whatever you want to call it. And we could say add card button style. And the target type of that is button. Okay. So then you have your setter in here, in which you say that your property is going to be what? Property is going to be horizontal options, and then your value is going to be center. And then you can add another property in here for a width request. Then you can say your value is going to be 150. 150, like that. Okay. And I think that's what I have down here. Yeah, I have that down here, so I could go ahead and do that. Okay. Anything else? Yeah, well, I guess I need to set the style of this button over here. So I can say that the style is going to be a static style is going to be a static resource of, I thought I called it add card style. So I think I called it, or add card button style. And why does it say static and not static resource like that? Okay. That's what I think I called it. I could go up here, add card button style, go back down here and just paste over it, but it's already selected, so that's it. Okay. And so anything else? This button over here is going to have some style to it. That's going to be called the remove card button style. Say remove card button style. And I'm not sure what the spec on that is going to be, but it's going to be something. Maybe the color on here, we can set the background color, and we can set that to maybe pink or something. And anything else? Oh, I don't think it should be pink. Maybe I don't know what color it should be. Blue. Okay. And if it's blue, then we can probably make the text color white. Something like that. Okay. And I guess we can follow suit with over here, where we can just add this in here. And well, there's a lot of similarities with this right now. And so there should be a property called based on. Yeah. And we'll say based on static resource, and we'll call that button style. Okay. And everything has a uppercase cap. So we could do something like this and say that we're going to have a button style that's going to have all this here, and then that will leave these others free to add on anything that's custom. Okay. Something like that. So we'll scroll down here, and this remove right here, well, that is going to be a style of our remove card button style, right? So here we can have style, and then we can have our remove card button style. Okay. Something like that. And that is pretty much it. Now, we can make the argument that we can probably do something like this and have a command here. And maybe do the same thing here, and text, and have our command here. That might be okay. Okay. And I think that's enough for right now. Hopefully all my tests will pass, right? Because I didn't really do anything. All the updates, I believe, were UI related. Let's see. And it's still building. It's still building. Maybe I should look at my output window. It should build successfully, and then we should get all green tests whenever it decides that it wants to finish building. Now the build succeeded, it's running the tests. Tests are discovered, and everything is green. Okay, so I'll check this in, and I will say that added partial support for UI, or I could say added partial UI support. Partial UI support for what? For bank cards and Git ride. Okay. And then we'll just go ahead and commit all and push. And that's it. All right. So this code kata, this specification as a library, this domain-driven design, this Xamarin Forms. I'm Scott Nimrod, and this is me recording myself, learning and building and developing myself. I'm available for hire, and yeah, that's it. I'm out. Peace. Stop, Rob.